Hi, everyone. Welcome to Social Media for Realtors. My name is Andrew Haberman, and I'm your presenter for the day. We'll go ahead and give everyone just a couple minutes to filter in. I see a couple attendees just joining the call here, and then we'll go ahead and get started.
So what dates did you have planned for that next month? Kind of around the same time frame?
Yeah, I'll make the announcement here shortly, but yeah, it's going to be at the end of next month, which is going to be pretty exciting stuff.
Yeah.
Alrighty, well, we've got a number of people that have joined us here, so I think we can probably go ahead and get started. So like I said, my name is Andrew Haberman. I'm your presenter for the day. The first half of our time, probably 30 to 45 minutes, we'll spend walking through helpful social stats, strategy, and tactics you can use to help you grow your personal brand, repeat and referral business, and position you really as an expert in your local market. And with that, I'll go ahead and hand it off to our host for the day.
Thanks, everybody. I appreciate you guys joining. I'm Matt von Bergen with the MVB team, and our team has over 65 years of mortgage experience between every one of us on the team that's involved in the transaction that we bring to every single loan transaction. So, we want to just make sure people know you're talking to an experienced team. We are very involved in social media, so you can take a look at our profiles and some of the stuff that we're going over. We'll give some examples today. And then really we're really focused on core values with transparency, integrity, and then educating and advising clients. I also have an announcement that at the end of June, we will be doing a CalHAPA program training. I'm not sure if you heard about the brand new forgivable equity builder loan program with 10% down. It's the buzz on the news. Everybody's talking about it right now. Well, we're going to be doing a training. We have Molly from CalHAPA coming in. She'll be giving us a crash course on everything you need to know to advise your clients on how to do it and how to educate them and what's a good fit for them. So we'll be making that announcement and the date to be announced here shortly. About Andrew. So Andrew, he's a digital marketing manager with Partners Mortgage Synergy One Lending. And Andrew helps today's modern mortgage and real estate professionals dominate their local markets with production-driven social media and digital advertising strategies. I've known Andrew for years now, and he's a guru. I go to for any questions or scenarios, anything that I need help with. What should I do here? He knows all the latest stuff and up on all the tech. Having started his career at digital consulting for attorneys and small businesses and transitioning into the mortgage space, Andrew now works with hundreds of loan officers, teaches real estate agents across the country, providing industry-leading and scalable marketing results. And I've seen those results, which I'll go over some of them in the webinar today so that you can kind of see firsthand how we utilize them and how he's helped us with our business.
Awesome. Thanks for that introduction, Matt. Yep. So we'll just kind of cover what we're talking about today. So what is our objective? So like I mentioned at the very beginning of the call, we want to give you not just high level social stats. We want to give you actual tools and strategies to grow your personal brand and dominate your local market. And we'll get into some of those specific tactics throughout that presentation, as well as, like Matt said, give you examples of what that looks like. So what will you learn today? You're going to learn how to use social media to, 1, build more referral relationships, 2, increase repeat business, and 3, position yourself as a community expert through what you're posting and how you're distributing your content. And then for the last half of today, we'll open it up for Q&A. So any questions that you have, this is really not meant to be just a presentation. This is supposed to be, very back and forth, not only with our team that's on this call here, but also with you. So if you have any questions throughout the presentation or slide deck part today, please feel free to put those comments in the chat or in the Q&A function here. And then we'll also have opportunity to open up speaking lines, if you want to jump on and actually chat with our team here at the end of the call today. And with that, we'll go ahead and get started. So why social? Why is social important? I know that may seem kind of obvious to a lot of you, but I think it's helpful to look at some stats and kind of understand what the actual impact of social is on our society as a whole, but in particular on real estate and mortgage, right, within our respective industries. So number one, it's where your clients are. So roughly 82% of Americans between 18 and 49 years old use at least one social media site. So that, for one, talks about how many Americans are on social, but also the importance of differentiating what social networks you're posting content on. So you may have a lot of great content on Facebook, but if you're not posting anything on Instagram, you're missing out on a potential piece of your audience, right? So you want to make sure to differentiate your social strategy and your platforms and posting. Number two, it's also where your competitors are. So 77% of realtors actively use social media for real estate in some way, shape, or form. And this is back, even back in 2019. So that's, just increasing as the years go on here. And number three, like Matt mentioned, we'll get into some of the results about paid advertising and what this looks like on paid social. But paid social has a lower cost than any ad network, and it has equal or greater targeting capacity than any marketing method, including direct mail to purchase lists. So we'll get into how you can leverage your database and what that looks like to actually kind of penetrate and stay top of mind with your past clients and referral partners. And here's just a couple other stats to consider. So men between 25 and 34 represent the largest demographic on Facebook, which I personally find kind of interesting. Typically, when I think of Facebook, I think, maybe 45 and up, is kind of our parents or our grandparents' social media network, but there's still a lot of activity in younger generations on Facebook. Also, 47% of real estate businesses note that social media results in the highest quality leads versus other sources. So kind of surprising, right? You wouldn't necessarily think of social media as where people are reaching out, high intent leads. But, I see that for the loan officers that we work with on the mortgage side, where a lot of those people, they're pretty high intent and very intent on having a messaging conversation back and forth with you. And then we'll get into a little bit of YouTube today. Even though YouTube technically is not a social platform, it's technically a search engine for video content, but it aligns with enough of these different strategies that we're talking about that it's worth mentioning and covering just a little bit. So YouTube is the #1 platform that social marketers build communities on. And one of the cool things that you can do on YouTube is build out a content library, right? And have different video series that you can point your clients, your prospects back to, where they can refer and kind of see the industry specific knowledge and expertise that you have. And then one final point, 162 million people in the US are on LinkedIn. So don't sleep on LinkedIn. So one of the things that we'll do today, on top of kind of pinging back and forth with Matt and the members on his team, is talking about agent specific examples and how they're using social media effectively. We're going to dig into a couple of these names, Teresa Turamanian, Ryan Serhant, Elise Lasasso, Nia Huntley, Ricky Caruth, and Sean Fox, to name a few, and give you not only handles to their accounts that are performing successfully, but also examples of posts that they've put up that have performed well and why those posts performed well, and some of the specific tactics and strategies they're using that you can replicate in your own marketing as agents. So here's some social do's and social don'ts. So if you're on your computer, this might be a slide that you want to screenshot, but I'll kind of open it up to Matt and his team here just to talk about what they see, looking at this list when they're practicing on social and scheduling out content. What are things that they do? What are things that they recommend that you should avoid?
Yeah, I'll take the first one, which is the don'ts on the hashtags on every post. I had like this giant list that I was like copying and pasting on the beginning when I first started doing social. Cause I'm like, oh, it's hashtags, let's do this. And so I created this giant list of like 30 of them, right? And I was copying and pasting the same ones on each one. And once I learned that you're basically a spammer if you do that, that was like a big no-no. That I learned in addition to that, it's not unique. So like if you're talking about VA loans, it should be VA relevant tags that are in there versus if you're talking about a conventional loan or a investment property, it needs to be investment related hashtags. So they need to be relevant to the content that you're specifically creating, which was kind of, I guess it's kind of common sense, but at the same time, you don't know what you don't know. And a lot of people advertise hashtags. And I thought that's something that people need to know, be careful about that, make sure it's relevant to the content. Mike, you want to take one?
Yeah, can you guys hear me okay?
Yep.
So I really like skipping down to the do's, maybe the free knowledge aspect of it. So I'm heavily invested in LinkedIn, and really we learned through just doing what Matt just talked about, using so many different hashtags, but just use the one hashtag and that'll trend in their algorithms a lot better. And then just have that perspective of giving away that free knowledge, because it's not really free knowledge. It's valuable that it's value that you have internally that you're expressing to the world. So It doesn't matter if it's social media or a loan program, and you really need to just, put it out there and let people see and just for what it is. Another thing that I'd really avoid is industry speak. So don't get very technical because it's hard to read on the subtitles. It's hard to edit the video. You tend to talk faster, right, when you do industry speak, but just keep it real simple, like from a consumer perspective. And I think that's worked very well for our team. You want to go to the next one, Matt?
Yeah, and then I guess just one more thing to touch on real quick is just be authentic and be yourself. I mean, at the end of the day, we're in a world of hashtags and filters and people's highlight reels, and I think that having humility and sharing real stories does make a difference. So being authentic with your content.
Yeah, we'll talk a little bit about that later too in terms of video production, but it used to be, if you spent a couple $1,000s, you hire a video crew to come do a couple of videos for you. That was something that not a whole lot of people were doing. Now video and video technology is so widely available that, if you've just got your smartphone and you're filming that kind of content on a daily basis, putting it out on your social networks, that for one comes across very authentic, and two, like it used to kind of compete with more of those high quality, high production value type things. That's so common now that that's not really a factor. So, when we're getting into some of our video conversation later and how you think about producing video, that's just something to keep in mind. Don't shy away from using your smartphone to get the expertise and free knowledge that you have out to your audience.
And I want to steal all your thunder, but we have some really good gold nuggets towards the end here, which I know we saved some of it for the end, but I can't wait to share.
So just talking a little bit about platform specific opportunities. We'll just kind of breeze through this real quick. By no means is this supposed to be an exhaustive list, but this is a number of trends that we're seeing as a group. On Facebook, long form video, for one. Long form video is not dead outside of YouTube. Events. So we did a Facebook event for this event. It's one of those cool opportunities where, both on Facebook and LinkedIn, you can invite your existing connections organically to those specific opportunities in ways that you can't with other social marketing methods. Stories on Facebook, another big opportunity, as well as reviews. So Facebook is the only of these social networks where you can actually have a client post a review, much like you would on Google My Business, to where, if someone's coming back to your Facebook page, they can see, oh, Matt von Bergen, he's got 10 5-star reviews on his Facebook page, right? So that's something to consider and implement in terms of your social strategy and social thinking moving forward. On Instagram, biggest opportunities, Reels for one, just because of the visibility that they get. It's not like you're going to be getting 5,000 views on every Reel that you push out, but people that post more consistently on Reels and do it in a way with kind of trending audio. This is something that Matt and I were talking about yesterday, and matching that up with stories, they tend to see better results there. And then on LinkedIn, biggest opportunities there, while you can't necessarily post reviews or have them kept on your profile, you can post, and we always recommend taking the existing 5-star reviews that you have and turning those into animated motion style graphics or static images that you post out regularly to your accounts. Because if you're sitting on 5-star reviews that you're not publicizing on social, that's a missed opportunity and one of the easiest things to capitalize on. So celebration posts, if you've got an award, also things to consider, specifically because it's more of a B2B industry type platform on LinkedIn. And then TikTok, breeze through these real quick here, but biggest opportunities there, short form video, like quick, snappy social videos, but also long form video. So recently TikTok increased the maximum video length to, I believe, either 3 minutes or 10 minutes. So that's significant because TikTok is typically thought of as the short form video content platform, but they see the value in producing longer, more educational type pieces of content that can be posted to the platform. And then for Twitter, I'll kind of pitch it over to Matt here, but Twitter by far has the lowest reach out of any of these content platforms. Still good to be active on there, just so people know that you have content going out, so long as you're not spending too much time on it. But Matt, do you want to talk about some of the content repurposing that you do with Twitter specifically?
Yeah, so it's just cool for like the branding, and then making your grid on your like Instagram profile kind of broken up. So I'll put a tweet and get some inspiration or some ideas, make a tweet, and then after I do that, you screenshot it and then you put it on your LinkedIn and your Instagram and your different feeds, talking about something about your profession. And so it brands, it's got your little logo in the corner, it's the black screen, it's just nothing like the rest of the content on there. So really I try to mix in, at least a couple tweets a week with it and repurposing it on there. And then talking about the reels on the previous slide of Instagram, I'm a big proponent of that. I'd say the majority of the new followers I get are through one good reel. So you put a reel out there and it's pretty insightful. I had one yesterday. I talked about how millionaires get started in real estate. And what's crazy is I got like 10 followers off of it. And, I'll have 20 posts in a month where I'll get no action from an actual post, but then a reel will get me that type of traction. So it just tells me that that's getting out there for the reach and growing your the eyes on your page, which I think is really important.
And then Mike, did you have a couple things you wanted to mention about Facebook? And
yeah, I just wanted to get them some nuggets. If you go back, there you go. So what I've noticed, guys, is I've been really heavy on LinkedIn. So on the first slide, he said 162 million people in the US are on LinkedIn. That came from a statistic. So that's over half, I think, half the population, if so, as we're told. And so traditionally, I think people have thought about LinkedIn as a business to business. And if you want a business to business, there's no opportunity. But if you guys want to get with us offline, we've developed like a super great strategy to not only target businesses, but also consumers and all the like. And we're having a lot of success repurposing our content, targeting the business, targeting the consumer. And I've found like a lot of consumers have LinkedIn. Like you would think, oh, if I'm not on Facebook with them, they're not really my friend. But I've chatted with people on LinkedIn, got to know them, especially a lot of military people who I know, and then we become friends on Facebook. So they're really great because a LinkedIn, everybody has a LinkedIn, believe it or not, because everybody works, right? And then you get the Facebook, it's a little more personal side. So you could leverage both platforms and they're very integral, but have different kind of feels about them. So don't discard LinkedIn. And then, going back to the YouTube, I think they had mentioned that YouTube was, just a search for the videos. But in my opinion, you can use that to use your long form content and then post it on all the platforms and have YouTube for people coming directly into your ecosystem or whatever you're trying to provide value or whatever industry you're in, and then connect with them on the other platforms. So that's a super huge strategy that's working for us as well. And I love how you repurpose your Twitter content, Matt. Like if a lot of you listening out there, that what he's doing with Twitter is he's giving such valuable motivation or what's working and what's success or what's going on in the current world, and then just the little text can be repurposed a lot. So it's really interesting what Matt does on Twitter. He does that better than I do.
I'll go to the next slide if you would, Andrew. It's going to show a tweet, right?
Yeah, so speaking of content repurposing, here's a great example of using a tweet to post on a different network. So Daniel Murray, he's a marketer that I follow on LinkedIn, and this is something that he posted on LinkedIn, but it was a screenshot of a tweet that he created. So, but I love this nugget, and I think, this is one of our social takeaways for the day. So most of your audience is not ready to buy. The goal of marketing is that when they're ready to buy, your brand, your personal brand is top of mind, right? So that's just something that, in terms of what Matt does, what Mike does, what we as a team do, that's something that should influence anything and everything that you're doing, because a lot of people, when they have conversations with me or people that I know, they want to hop on social and they want to start getting deals like within the first 2 weeks of them posting anything. And if they don't get that, then they stop, right? But that's not really the point of social. The point of social, like this tweet is talking about, is to cue people up so that when someone's in a position where they want to buy a house, right? They want to list their house, you are the person that they're thinking about, because they're like, oh, this person's been posting content. I've been seeing content from them consistently. Maybe I'm getting hit up with paid social ads that they're coordinating on with an agency or their marketing department. That's kind of the opportunities that you look at, and that compounds over time in a big way. And Matt and Mike can kind of speak to that too.
Yeah, just, a good example is just like the open house, if you're doing it, or the listing that you're even just going to check out a listing and you're creating a video. If you're busy in the community, you're busy doing activities, a lot of them customers I know don't know like if it's your listing or not. And so the busyness of it makes you look bigger than you are, which is the appearance, and then that's the branding. So when they are ready to list, they call you.
Yeah, I think I'm relatively new to the industry, guys, just so that you know, and kind of Matt's kind of taken me on his team, which I'm super grateful for. But I could tell you, we put out a lot of content, and we have the amount of deals that we've gotten from them, which you might think it's a ton, but it's really not. But almost all of my deals that I have got that we've brought into the team have come directly from the social media, from these things that I did in the past that I thought weren't working. But this slide really speaks a lot, because people are top of mind, and I had no idea they were shopping for a home. They'll come up to me at drill and say, "Hey, I was looking, can you answer the question?" And it didn't click until people started asking me things, So yeah, that don't fall into that trap of, oh, if I post 5 times and it doesn't work, like you're in this for the long run, because I think this is the way it's trending,
Yeah, absolutely. And here's another social takeaway. So when we're thinking about what kind of content should I be posting as an agent, right? This is another key social takeaway. Create content that's valuable to your potential clients and referral partners and distribute it effectively. The rest will take care of itself. So if you're thinking about that, create the right kind of content. And if you can distribute that effectively, whether that's through specific platforms, different strategies that we'll get into here in a sec, or through key advertising tactics, that is everything when it comes to social. Creating the right message and then distributing it to the right people. That's everything that you need to do when it comes to social. So real quick, here's our first agent example from Nia Huntley. She's a real estate agent out in Marietta, Georgia. She's got 17,000 followers on her Instagram account. And while this post may look like it's not very special, there's a couple things that she does really well in this post that are worth pointing out and worth replicating in your own social strategy, whether it's Instagram or different social media platforms. So this is a listing post, right? It's a house that she's listed. She's got the date and time that you can view the house. She's got the asking price for the house. She's got the address. She's got any relevant details, if you're looking or interested in the house. And then to Matt's point about hashtags earlier, she doesn't have 50 hashtags on this post. All of the hashtags, if you're looking in specifically at what she has, she's not like hashtag Georgia business, right? They're all like Alpharetta homes, Georgia properties. They're all very specific and niche to what she's trying to reach. Because if you're using more of these high level hashtags, like if she were to put on this hashtag Georgia business, her posts will show up maybe a couple times to people that are looking under hashtags related to Georgia business. And then ultimately, Instagram is going to look at that post and be like, this is not a relevant piece of content, because people under that Georgia business hashtag, they're not interacting with the content because it's not relevant to what they're searching for. So think about it that way. It's almost like keywords when we're talking about Google search engine marketing. That's how you want to be putting together these pieces of content or hashtags, because you want to make sure that that's highly relevant to the specific content that you're distributing.
Yeah, I could add to that one little thing. It's called granular marketing. Like I used to run a bunch of Google ads. So actually the more you flood it, the more confused their algorithms get. But if you have just a couple keywords in there, it'll really hone in on those people who search Google, or in this case, when people are searching that relevant term, to really hone in on your post. So it almost, I can't remember the term, but when you do something that you think is good and you get the wrong effect, there's a term for it.
Yeah, not to mention, I forget if it was Matt or Mike earlier on the call that said if you have that many hashtags, it just kind of looks like you're desperate too. It looks very spammy. And so that's something to be aware of, because if you have, 30 to 50 hashtags, people are like, does nobody know that this person exists, right? It looks like someone who's doing like some Forex Bitcoin trading scam. So just got to be aware of that when you're thinking about that.
Yeah, thanks.
And then here's a look at Ryan Serhan's TikTok account. So I like his TikTok because if you've ever tried to come up with new content ideas, sometimes I think that can be a little bit difficult, but he's got a framework for a number of his TikToks that are really good. So lots of his videos say something like 5 pieces of advice for recent college graduates, right? And you can kind of take that framework, it's almost like what I'd call a listicle framework, where you've got 3 pieces of advice for fill in the blank, right? Whatever your target audience is or who you're trying to reach. So think about that if you're trying to create new pieces of content. 6 pieces of advice for first-time homebuyers, right? That's just an example. You can kind of pair, any random number with a specific target audience that you're trying to reach. And then another thing that he does really well on his account is storytelling. So he'll do like deal story time segments on his account where he talks about a really niche situation or an interesting deal that he did, and he'll walk through A to Z what that looked like in terms of helping his client. So for one, that provides a lot of authenticity into what he actually does, right? It almost serves as a testimonial, if you will, even though it's not coming directly from the client. While on the other side, it's also providing a lot of specific details into what he does specifically, right? So it's branding him, what he does, and the kinds of people that he works with. And particularly if it's a difficult deal, a lot of those deals can be not only educational to the end consumer there, but they can also be kind of enlightening in terms of like, oh, wow, that's what you did for this specific client, and you jumped through all these hoops. That can, differentiate you in a big way and start to help you stick out, in an area where maybe there's a lot of agents that you're competing with. And we always like to say, this is something that I like to think about, people jump on social to either be educated or entertained. Usually it's for the latter, right? They're trying to be entertained. And with any post that you're putting out, you want to be doing one of those. If you can do both at the same time, where you're both educating and entertaining with a specific piece of content that you're pushing out, that's gold, right? That's kind of the gold standard, if you will, for getting people's attention. If you can make them laugh through a social post and give them some information about what you do, that's fantastic, right? You don't want to be going and posting cat memes, and saying, here's how I can help you as a real estate agent, right? You don't want to go too far off in the entertainment direction, but as long as you're doing it in a way that's authentic and relevant to your brand, you can entertain all you want, because that's a good way to keep people's attention. And then another social takeaway, you might want to screenshot this or take this one down. But if you're just starting on social, if you're trying to get a framework for how your social content should be mapped out or planned, anyone who sees your social content should know what you do, number one, number two, who you help, and number three, why you're different. So Matt and team, I don't know if you want to jump in and kind of talk about how this impacts your framework when you're thinking about social.
Yeah, absolutely. Keep it simple. Simple, stupid, or stupid, simple, right? I've heard it both ways, but write down those 3 items. Don't overcomplicate things. Keep them super simple for yourself. What do you do? How do you help? And then tell a story, and then why you're different. So storytelling is pretty good. And, kind of walking through, filming for me and kind of my workflow process is that I come up with an idea, and I usually am scrolling reels and TikToks and things. I'm like, oh, I like that song. I like that thing that they had. And an idea comes, and I write it down. So have somewhere you write down your ideas for video. And then after you do that, then come back and write your script about what you're going to say. So step 2, script. 3, where you're going to shoot it. So like the backdrop, you're going to be walking, you're in your office, in front of the, sitting down. 4, editing. So are you going to edit yourself, or someone else going to do it? Who do you do? How do you, how's that look? Do you have a marketing department? And then the last thing is scheduling your posts. So knowing that you can, I kind of recommend banking a little bit, like getting a couple posts saved, and then that way you have like your week's worth before you start posting. I think you get kind of the pressure of, hey, I need to continue to make something every single day. No, you don't. Make stuff for like a week or 2, bank it into your phone and have it ready to go. Schedule those posts, have it ready to go. And then you just then you're ahead of the 8 ball instead of behind it, and the pressure is removed. And I think that that's super powerful when you start kind of getting ahead of it, so that it's not as much pressure behind it. Otherwise, what happens is you do it for a week or 2, and then you don't for a week or 2, and you don't have consistency. So that's one of the keys. And I think that that's like something that I learned the hard way after doing this for a couple of years, that I can kind of share with you as a nugget. Mike, I know you wanted to talk about kind of the setup. Like, tell them about what our setup is.
Okay, yeah, I got something on the setup, and then I got something so that you guys can do this 1, 2, 3 real easy. So our setup used to be like Andrew was talking about. People used to pay hundreds of thousands for the production, but we have a gimbal. If you're interested on the setup, I'll text you all the Amazon so you can have this setup. It's a gimbal, and it's a wireless Rode mic, so that's real professional, and it gets all the audio straight from your iPhone, 13. We use a 13, which is the newest one, but any of them have great cameras. So, I mean, we're really filming ourselves. We don't even have a production crew, and we post edit. So going back to the social, so just let me know offline or Matt know, and we'll share that with you guys so that you guys could be on that. I'm not sure if that's a high level or everybody's doing that. That's what we do, and that's what's working for us. So, anyway, what do you do? Who do you help? Why you're different? I don't like to go into my videos on what I do, but we have such branding. People really kind of understand what we do. The video that I'm most excited about that I'm coming out with in another week is an actual client situation that Matt and our team helped with. And that was, she was currently living in the home. She was a referred client from a client who we just helped buy their first home. And she got instant equity. She's in the home and she got that purchase, and that was just a win-win. And she got down payment assistance. And so that's who we help. And the videos are really, they're just going to be real videos on who we help. And those things on who you help, on those real life experiences, when you film or you talk or you post content about that, it'll show why you're different, because you care, because you're really good at what you do. And that's the takeaway that you guys need to understand is you're already there. It's all about framing it in a way where, oh, I see what he does. Oh my gosh, they helped that person. And then that's why you're different. So just show it through your actions, and that's, going to be why you're different.
Yeah, it's all storytelling, and who can tell it the best.
Yeah, I love that.
Yeah, and then we have a question from Alvin in the chat. What's an example of a post where a realtor and loan officer can work together to get market share? I've got one pulled up here. I'll switch my screen here real quick and just give you guys an example. So Synergy One Lending and Partners Mortgage are sister companies. So here's one of our posts from the Synergy One Lending side. So congratulations on a successful close. This was a graphic because in order to maintain RESPA compliance, we can just have it posted on, our accounts and then also your accounts, and have all of your information on there, all of our information on there, and it's kosher. So RESPA likes that, and it's really easy to create these graphics. So here's an example. Hopefully that's helpful and spurs some conversations on your side.
Yeah, I like that co-branding. That's really cool.
Yeah, there's definitely a wrong way to do co-branding, and there's a right way to do it. The right way, I think, is simpler than most people think, but it just, making sure that there's the right information, right disclaimers, that you're not just throwing posts out there, right, that don't have the right information for both groups. So that's a good example of doing that well.
That's a really good point, is when you're making content, the most successful YouTuber, his name is Mr. Beast, and he does crazy things. He makes $1 million production videos, but at the end of the day, he says to his followers, he said to Joe Rogan, if I don't like it, or if the algorithms won't pick it up to get clicks, he'll scrap it. $1 million, doesn't even care. Like, that to me stood out so much. Like, what are you really making this content about? And it has to be so done the right way, like you're saying, Andrew. That's really good.
Yeah, lots of great examples from the team here. But here's another one from one of the featured agents talking about specific content or accounts that really manage to do all these three things. So you want to talk about what you do, who you help, and why you're different. So what does Elise do? She's a top 1% Denver realtor, right? Go back to this slide real quick. Who does she help? So she has experience with custom builds and home design. So if you're looking to buy a home and custom builds or home design are relevant to you, she has specific expertise. So she's already defining her niche there. So that also ties into why she's different. But one of the other things that she does too, self-made hustler, that's one of her other differentiators. And then one of the things that she does really well on her account is she has a call to action at the end. So think about like your Facebook page, your Instagram account. If anyone's clicking through from a post to your actual account, that's more of a high intent or mid intent user, right? So they're not just looking at a post, they're not just swiping through your stories. So you want to provide them with the next step, right? You don't want to have them necessarily have to reach out via direct message on that specific platform. For those people that are looking to apply or get started, whatever that looks like, you want to have a link to your website, right? You want to have specific instructions on the next step that they should take. Obviously, DMs, still a great opportunity to connect. And that's what a lot of our loan officers and real estate agents that I talk with do on a regular basis, just going back and forth over social media DMs. But you want to make that next step very clear, because the more clear you can make that on the front end, like what your consumer needs to do, the easier it is for them to mentally make that jump from, oh, I'm just generally interested in connecting with this person, to, oh, it's really that simple, right? That's, just taking the next step, whether that's your website or wherever else you want to direct your clients. And I know at this point, we've already given quite a few examples on video. So good conversations there all. But it wouldn't be a great discussion around social, obviously, without talking about video, right? And some of the tools you use to make better video for social. Mike mentioned, and Matt as well, the little lapel mic you can use. You can find them on Amazon. They're really simple. Feel free to reach out to any of us after the call, if you're looking to get a list of some of the filming equipment that you use. I mean, even little things like this, I've got a little mini boom mic here. It's like $150, right? So there's simple things, if you want to add to your setup, where you can spend, less than a couple $100 and have like a pretty well put together setup with, maybe you add a ring light, maybe there's a gimbal that you have like Mike's talking about, but you really don't have to spend a lot of money to get some pretty high quality video if you've got a newer smartphone. And at the end of the day, like the right video to the right audience can make all the difference in telling your story and building your personal brand. So it's really less about making your video perfect so much as making sure that the content in that video is really solid. You're conveying that in an authentic fashion. And then again, talking about advertising that we'll get into here in a sec, making sure that that's hitting the right audience, making sure that people are actually seeing that piece of content, because you could have the best content in the world, but if nobody sees it, to the Mr. Beast example, if the algorithm's not picking it up, if, the ad isn't performing a certain way, it's not necessarily going to be as impactful as you want it to be. So that's why you always want to be pushing out new pieces of content, testing pieces just for your own personal brand, to understand a little bit more like what your account's connection to the overall social sphere looks like. So that's something to keep in mind.
And one more thing, we filmed a video the other day with one of Matt's realtor partners, and it was just a real simple video of what they're seeing in the market on the loan side and on the real estate side. And we're getting that through compliance and releasing it. But I think that's real powerful too, because it goes to what you're saying. It's just to the right audience, the right time. And it's pertinent because it's just what they're seeing in the market. And people like to know, from professionals what's going on.
Yeah, so here's another video example. So Ricky Caruth, he is an agent as well as a social media coach for agents. His Facebook page has over 42,000 followers. You can follow him on Facebook at 0 to Diamond. But Ricky uses video to give timely updates around market conditions and questions that his audiences are asking. So that's something to keep in mind too. We talked about Ryan Serhant's example of here's a couple content frameworks that you can think about when you're trying to produce new content. You can also just straight up ask your prospects or your past clients, like, what would be interesting to you? Like, what information do you want to know that I could create a video and shoot out on social? Because you'd be surprised how many of the past clients that you've had, or even people that you're currently talking to, would love to be like, oh, wow, like you literally took the time to create this video, like just for me, right? You're not necessarily producing it just for them, but you're using their prompt as an opportunity to springboard that into a piece of content that's highly relevant for those kinds of people on social media. So just something to keep in mind, not necessarily something where every day you have to call up one of your past clients and say, hey, what information do you want me to cover on my next social video? But it is something that's helpful in terms of that overall content structure. So yeah, I see Mike, he's got a little app demo for us.
You guys, what's going on in the chat is gold. Thank you, Jessica, because we've been struggling with the teleprompter thing. So
yeah, if you're like me and you have trouble without a significant amount of sort of preparation and script memorization, I've used Big View quite a bit in the past, actually, where, if you're decent at the writing, not so great on just off the cuff, doing your own videos, you can literally copy and paste everything that you've written out into this little mini teleprompter app on your phone and film it. It takes a couple videos to kind of work out the kinks and figure out, what's going to work best for you. But that's a fantastic app for those of you that maybe are really not comfortable jumping into a video without having a script in front of you. And that for me has helped make my videos in the past a lot more natural looking, because instead of like looking down at the script and then looking up, or like clearly looking off in one direction or another, it positions it right where your phone camera is and makes it come across a lot better and more professional.
I do,
Yeah,
I do bullet points so that I can know the bullet points on the teleprompter, but then I can freestyle the in-between so that it comes off authentic and I can kind of like speak on the fly, right? So I think that that's part of the tough part, is like making sure that it comes off, doesn't sound like you're reading. So when I do the teleprompter, I'm like a robot. I can't I can't do it. But when I do the bullet points, I know what I need to say and how I need to say it, and I can kind of naturally say the in-between. So that's what works for me.
Yeah, I just love reading off of something written like a teleprompter, because it saves from multiple takes. Like you'll start seeing, as you guys create more video, you'll spend a lot of time taking, oh, I shouldn't have said that. Oh, compliance won't do this. So just teleprompter and recording on the things that you need for the recording is that's a big time saver there for you guys.
Yeah, another tool that I'll mention too, that Julie's on the call with us here today. She's part of our marketing team, but we've used Subtitle to repurpose our videos. Like sometimes Facebook, LinkedIn, they'll add auto-generated subtitles, but what Subtitle does, you can load a video in there. It's like, I don't know, like $15 a month to get an account there. If you're looking for a way to slightly up just the presentation of your video, you can throw that video into Subtitle. It'll auto-generate captions. You can edit those captions really quick from your smartphone or your laptop. I typically recommend doing that from a laptop. But then you can choose to add like a progress bar at the bottom. You can change the colors, you can add logos, you can do all sorts of things within that platform. And I think they give you like 30 videos a month. So that's a really simple tool. I'm not a video editor personally. Julie is not a video editor. None of us on here are really video editors by trade, but that allows us to jump in and actually create videos that have a little bit more high production value behind them for, really not a whole lot of time. We put maybe 10, 15 minutes into that and it comes out looking really nice.
Yeah, that's real cool. Can somebody type in how you spell that into the chat so me and the audience can get that?
Yeah, I'm putting it in the chat now.
Oh, sick. I had it right. Whoa. Thanks.
All right, we'll go ahead and jump to the next slide here. So one of the things that we want to talk about too, it's really important when we're having a conversation around personal branding, is reputation, right? That's one of the central points that we talked about at the beginning of the deck today was, how do we use all of this to actually build your personal brand and help you be seen as a local market expert? And one of the biggest missed opportunities here that we see as a team is online agents not capitalizing on the existing 5-star feedback that they have. Whether that's through Google My Business, through their website. We use a platform called experience.com that helps us aggregate some of our reviews and send out reviews or review requests rather to our past clients. But if that's just sitting there, if you've got all that great feedback on Google or these different platforms and that's not showing up in any way, shape, or form in your social posts, that's a missed opportunity, because that means that most of the people that are viewing your social accounts, viewing your posts, they're not seeing those great client experiences that your clients are having, right? So that's a really simple way to kind of think about how do you repurpose that content. You can use tools like Canva, even just really simple, basic graphic design tools to, throw those reviews into a template, right? Showcase that it's a 5-star review, throw your company's logo on there, make sure that it has, specific to your company, all the things that it needs. Maybe work with your marketing department if you have one, but these are just no-brainer pieces of content. If you've got 5-star reviews, make sure that you're putting those in rotation and publishing those on Facebook, LinkedIn, Instagram stories, Instagram posts. You can do that in a bunch of different ways. And it's a really easy piece of content to repurpose and build templates around.
So my kind of personal experience and something that I think is really valuable that I wanted to share here is that I do experience.com because it's a third party that has all the different websites on there. And, if you market on Zillow, for example, right, and you have a bunch of Zillow reviews, that's great. But, what happens when you stop going to Zillow and you do something else, right? They're stuck on that platform. If you're doing Google reviews and it's with your branch location of Sotheby's and it's under the Sotheby's tag, and then you go to Keller Williams, what happens to your reviews, right? So you want to have your reviews be for you and independent to your site so that you can take them in anywhere you go throughout your career. Because I have so many reviews that I've had written for the different companies I worked for, different platforms I don't use anymore, that got washed to the wayside. And so I learned the hard way. And so if you Google my name and reviews or lender or whatever else, experience.com will pull up with 115 five-star reviews. So now I'm cataloging them. So when people I know are going to Google search me, there's one spot that's going to capture all those reviews and people can get a snapshot of who I am right out the gate. So that's something I think is super valuable, that on these reviews that I learned the hard way, that I just want to make sure I share with everybody else.
Nice.
And then if you're looking for some ways to strategize on repurposing your reviews, maybe in a more creative way, here's another example from Elise, Denver Realtor out here, talking about a specific client experience that she recently was involved with. So she's got a long form review, right? So that's this whole piece right here where she's listing out the very long form review. So obviously lots of great content, lots of great feedback from this specific client. And she just has it with, a business professional photo of her and says testimonial time, right? So there's a bunch of different things that you can do with your reviews. So it's not just here's a blob of text right on the screen. Not that that's necessarily a bad thing. It's better than nothing. But if you can leverage those reviews into something that's also, a well-branded, well-marketed piece of content, that's where you can start creating pieces like this that look very nice, very professional, and there's not necessarily a lot of effort that needs to be put into a piece of content like this. And then one of the other opportunities too, if you're having trouble getting reviews or you don't have a platform that sends out review requests to your past clients after deals, you can tell the story of a specific deal that you help them with, as long as you have their permission, right? To use a specific photo or tell the story. You always want to reach out and get that first. But Sean Fox, realtor in Vancouver, British Columbia here, he doesn't quote anything from a specific testimonial that his past clients gave him. But much like Ryan Surhunt, he kind of walks through what this deal looked like, how he helped this specific couple find a home. And as many of those scenarios that you can make public, that you can get that green light from your past clients, you can start doing some of the storytelling on your own, even if you don't necessarily have a specific written testimonial. So that's not something that you have to wait on in terms of pushing out some of those new content pieces. And then in terms of unique platforms, opportunities, and differentiators, we talked about Reels, we talked about TikToks. One of the best things about Reels and TikToks is the reach or potential reach of some of these video pieces that you're pushing out. So obviously, make sure that you're going through your company's appropriate compliance and marketing approval checkpoints, but want to make sure that you're at least making an effort to publish videos out, because if you're not putting out any video at all, learn how to get comfortable on video, whether that's through Big View, that teleprompter app, or something else that works for you, right? Work with your marketing department, do a voiceover and have it run to an animation, right? There's a bunch of different ways that you can create video where you may not necessarily need to be even in front of the camera. Another opportunity, platform reviews, like I mentioned. So Facebook, make sure that you're directing at least some of your past clients back to leave a review on your Facebook page. Like, hey, would you mind just taking that extra step, especially if they've already filled out a review for you on Google or another platform. Usually most of those clients are not opposed. They've had an experience, a good experience with you. And so you saying, hey, would you mind also doing this on Facebook as well? They're like, of course, it's going to take me like 5 seconds, right? So be thinking about those kind of opportunities too. And then events, like I mentioned. So if you're doing any local events, anything that's referral partner facing, anything that's consumer facing, you can invite all of your existing personal connections. So I think that's an opportunity that a lot of people miss out on, is you've got your personal profile connections. That doesn't mean that you can't leverage any of those on your business profile. And events are one of the specific marketing strategies that help you do that in a big way. So if you've got 5,000 connections on your personal profile, that's a big chunk that you can start sending out notifications for business related opportunities. I'll serve it up to Matt and Mike and the rest of the team here. But what other opportunities are you seeing? I know we've talked about a lot at this point, but.
Well, here's one right now. Take a video or a picture of you on a webinar getting gamed up on social media marketing. Like, so just doing, I took some little videos and pictures slyly, below the camera here, just to document that I'm doing this, right? I'm having an activity. I'm showing people that I'm busy. I'm learning. I'm educating. So this, just you being on this call, that's an activity that you could document and tell a story on real quick. That's a video. That's also some photos, a timeline, of whatever you want to make of it, right? That's some real easy stuff to hit. And then we'll talk about kind of the other thing with re-engage and kind of your target audience. I think that's a different slide, right, Andrew?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So the last thing that we'll talk about today before we open it up to a little bit more broad Q&A is from good to great. Highly targeted, low cost social advertising. So like I mentioned in brief towards the middle of the deck here, you could have the best content in the world, but won't get very far if the right people don't see it. So advertising and doing that a specific way on social is a really solid way to leverage the existing content pieces that you have that are high performing into targeted ads that you can launch to your database, to specific segments on Facebook and Instagram and other platforms. So here's one of Matt's ads that we ran. Matt, do you want to talk just a little bit about the strategy there, and I can kind of fill in on that as well?
Yeah, so it's super cool. So I have my database of all my clients and customers that I've done deals with, right? And so what we did is we took that database and we made a campaign over into Facebook. And so for literally like $1 a day, you can make your target audience consistently see your ads. So like your 5-star experience, where people you're always top of mind, and they have no idea that for very little amounts of money, you were consistently in front of the people that you're already in front of. So this would be great for like any buyer, anybody who's helped sell a home before. They're always going to be seeing you and whatever you have for a very, very low effective cost. And the pull-through rate, we've measured this now for about 2 years. And the amount of eyes it has seen, the return on that investment, it's been massive. And in addition to that, you can do lookalike campaigns, which is getting a little bit deeper into that, but it's also kind of a similar kind of idea to the re-engage. But made very simple. You have your database, you bring that into a campaign on your Facebook, and then for very, very cheap amounts of money, you're in front of them every single day with those kind of like sponsored ads, but it's in front of everybody that you want to see. So you're always top of mind, because it's not the campaign, the chance of them actually seeing the ad that day is probably not likely. But if you are always in front of them, you're top of mind. So when they go to sell, they're going to be like, oh yeah, I remember that was my realtor, because you stayed in front of them the whole time.
Yeah, and this is something to, yeah, sorry, go ahead, Matt.
I was saying, did I do a good job covering that, or how else would you say that?
I would just say, as a disclaimer, I wouldn't recommend that any of you go out and try to start running Facebook ads on your own, like right after we get off this call. So this is something that we do as a marketing department for Matt and his team, but just something to keep in mind. Like, I've had about a decade of experience running Facebook ads, and starting to run Facebook ads is a bear. It is just little things, like specifically when it comes to housing and credit opportunities, Facebook is not kind in terms of those approvals. And if you don't know what you're doing, you can get a whole bunch of ads disapproved, and you can get shut out from advertising ever in the future. So what I always recommend, if you want to jump into ads, which I would absolutely recommend, you definitely need to be thinking about that as a significant part of your social strategy. Talk to your marketing department, talk to a local agency, tell them that you're interested in running database specific campaigns, because if you do that, you've already moved the conversation to the point of, oh, okay, this person, this agent, they know what they want already out of their campaign. And then it's just a function of finding the right agency partner. Or if your marketing department can do that, like ours does for our loan officers, even better, right? Because then you've got that opportunity already within your organization, and it can be internally managed by professionals. And then another example here, I'll just breeze over real quick. So we've got some specific numbers for James Carmody, who's part of Synergy One Lending, Partner Mortgage's sister's company. But he had 29,000 views in just last year. that also led to millions in additional volume. So this is something that we do for a bunch of our loan officers, and you can see how very quickly, it's not necessarily, something that you expect results from within a couple months, but you can go back, look at the databases that you've uploaded through these specific campaigns, and then look at the deals that you've done, because this is one of our most impactful ways of generating repeat and referral business, just because we're staying top of mind with our database more so than any of our local competitors are going to. So fantastic way to leverage any great content pieces that you have and serve those up on a regular repeat basis to get more repeat and referral business.
Well, and then to target that too, because sometimes they reach back out to you, the realtor, sometimes they reach back out to me, the lender, right? So I'm also trying to stay in front of them so that if they wanted to go buy another house or they're interested in running numbers, I'm like, oh, cool. And then I capture the business and then get it back out to you. And that's kind of the goal, is that we're both doing it on both the mortgage and real estate side. So whichever one of us to reach out to, well, great. If we're doing it on both sides, that's going to double our chances of us continue to retain that business.
Yeah, I love that. Going back to the whole idea of getting that customer, but then servicing them forever. Like, that's really, we drove a lot of people here to this event to really hone in on that. But that's a great example, Matt, of how you've done that over the years and how the realtor partners could benefit from that. Everybody's always going to need to make these transactions. So how do you always be there? And that's a great way to do it.
Yeah, so that concludes our deck today. So just real quickly, what did we accomplish today? So we gave you some tools and strategies to grow your personal brand and dominate your local market, build more referral relationships, tactics to increase repeat business, especially through some of these advertising conversations that we're having, and ultimately position yourself as a community expert with some of these content examples and how to leverage those in distribution. So now we've reached what typically is my favorite part of these kind of presentations, is Q&A. So what questions do you guys have that maybe we didn't cover in this presentation? What would you like more information on? Feel free to reach out, whether it be through the Q&A function or the chat, and we're happy to sit for as long as you guys like and answer any questions that you have.
And while people are thinking about those ideas too, I'll just kind of, if you missed it earlier, the announcement, we're going to be doing a training next month for the new Forgivable Equity Builder Loan Program for California, CalHAFA. Up to 10% forgivable. It's a fantastic program. Everybody's talking about it right now. I have a good contact at CalHAFA that's going to be coming in and speaking on that. So I'm excited to announce that that'll be our next, training that we're going to be doing next month. So pretty cool.
Yeah, I'm excited about that too. One thing I forgot to mention, if I could, while we're waiting for questions, Andrew, is I forgot to mention when we were talking about Instagram and TikTok, is that they have a unique green screen. So say people aren't very familiar with video, or they're just having trouble starting, like we was talking about right there, well, one way to get super comfortable is take a compliance piece from your company, use the green screen technology packed in Instagram and TikTok. They both have it. Reach out to us. We can show you how to use it. Post that as in your background so that your whole background, don't even need a green screen, but the technology has allowed us to do that. And then just speak to the compliance statement. That way you're killing a lot of birds in one stone. You're getting video content, you're already compliance approved, and the technology is all right there on a simple video platform on your iPhone. So that's how we really got started in this game. And those are really easy ways to get started and to get super comfortable in front of the camera. And then when it starts working, you get excited, like me and Matt are super pumped about today and the CalHAFA, I'm sorry if it's Cal, I can't.
Yeah, it's CalHAFA.
CalHAFA webinar. So now we're learning and we're promoting. And so it's really cool and the support that we're getting from this. So thank you.
Anyone have any questions about any of the things that we discussed or how to do it? And if you do have specific maybe conversation pieces, message us and we can schedule a one-to-one to do more of a deep dive too. I know some people probably don't like to be on a public forum. So if you want to connect with me after this, message me directly on LinkedIn and we can kind of schedule a one-on-one where we can go a little bit deeper into your specific questions or what you want to do or ideas and things, ways that we can support you no matter what step you are in the video social media process.
Yeah, I have a feeling that just based off of prior experience, our group on the webinar today did most of their interaction throughout the slide deck. So great job asking questions today, everyone. If you have anything else, in the next 30 to 60 seconds, please don't hesitate to reach out. But super appreciate you guys jumping on the call with us today, taking a little bit of time to learn more about how to use social media to build your business, and just start the conversation with us. So whether you're looking for social media help, if you're looking for a mortgage partner, obviously Matt and his team have worked with them for a long time. Definitely make sure to reach out to them and see if there's potential room for partnership there as well.
Yeah, and then thank you for taking the time to join. I hope you learned some stuff and got a couple nuggets you can take away. Nancy has something here, so let's see. New in real estate, how much should I leverage my own personal Facebook? That's a great question, Nancy. Yeah, so we can kind of talk about the strategy separate from Facebook. Me personally, I'm going more to LinkedIn. I've noticed that a lot more politics and things have gotten on Facebook, and more business is transacted in LinkedIn, in my opinion. So my pull through as far as talking business and getting actual people to convert and make actions, those deals are actually happening on LinkedIn. So I think that that's the most underutilized platform right now. So I would say that, your personal Facebook page, you can build followers, but I would recommend a business page for sure. And then I would definitely recommend that you have a LinkedIn profile, and that you can use things like Buffer. I'm not sure if you've ever heard of Buffer, but one post that you put in, it goes to all your different social media platforms and it posts it for you. So it's very valuable in the sense that if you have content that you're creating, you have multiple platforms, you can post it to one place, and then that's going to allow you to schedule the post on all your social media. So we have I've already had the whole month of social media completed, scheduled on Buffer, and done. So now I can just focus on daily videos because I know I have my social media stuff kind of put out. So we can kind of go over different strategies for you based off of, but yeah, I would recommend you do a Facebook page that's business, and then you can invite all of your current, just personal friends over to your business page.
Yeah, so just a real quick example. Don't mean to cut you off, Mike, but we're on Matt's page here. And so if you're logging into your business Facebook page, this is kind of what it should look like on your side. So you'll be able to choose whether you're interacting with the page as either the business page or your personal profile. So if you're looking to switch and invite people from your personal profile, you'll go ahead and select that. And then there's this little 3-dot menu, and that's where you can say, invite my friends. And then best practice for this, obviously these aren't your friends, these are my friends because this is my profile that we're looking through. But what I recommend is going through and 50 at a time for the people that you want to invite. Make sure that this box is checked, because that'll also send each of these page invites, not just through as a push notification, but also as a direct Facebook message that's to that personal user. And so if I want to go down the list, say you may not want to invite everyone on your personal friends list, but if you want to go down, just select until that says 50 up here, and then go ahead and hit send invites, and then repeat that process again. So Facebook, one of their limits is they only allow you to use this send invite in Messenger piece if you're doing that to 50 users at a time. So hopefully that was helpful and answered your question there.
I got one thing for Nancy. Nancy, that's great information to invite your personal. So to answer your question here, you need all of them. You need your personal, you need your business that you're going to create for your real estate. And then, and the reason is because when you use platforms to automate your social posts, they'll only want to interact with your business page, because a lot of times Facebook and other people verify through address verification and other things, or your physical location and your hours and open. So really, like Andrew showed you, leverage your personal to invite them to that page, but then leverage your LinkedIn and your YouTube and all your others to drive them to like that business page. Another really cool thing is when you get everything automated to post to your business page, it's a real simple click to share your own material to your own personal page. So then that's when you leverage everything. All the new people coming in to like in your business, and then you're sharing it on your personal. So you're getting everybody from your personal kind of indirectly, but setting it up for that more robust growth through your business page.
Great points.
Awesome. Well, with that, I think we don't have any more questions. I think we'll go ahead and wrap it up here. Again, thank you so much to all of you for joining us on the webinar today. Hope it was helpful and that these tactics will help you grow your business. Like Matt and team said, feel free to reach out to any of us on the call today, and hopefully we'll see you at next month's event that Matt mentioned.
Yeah, 100%.
Have a great day.